Awesome. We are back with another episode of the Lead Up Podcast where we connect with dope and diverse leaders to learn more about their leadership journey. And so you can level up in your leadership. And before I get to my amazing guest, as always, I want to give a special shout out to Darling New Media for making this production happen. If I was to be able to be in person in Midtown. But thankfully, we're able to still stream this and do this remote. So shout out to Nate at Darling New Media. Also, want to give another special shout out to all the returning listeners. Thank you guys for all the support, for tuning in, watching the videos, listening to the podcast. I love the feedback that I'm getting. And if this is your first time, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you checking us out. Hopefully, this content is valuable. But let's get into it. So, enough about me. Let's get to my guest. I met this dope guest about 2 years ago into, I think, right around as soon as we got into the pandemic and COVID through a connection at my job. And I think quickly I was like, I got to get this guy somehow in front of my college students to talk to them. So I invited him to speak to my UC Davis guys and just really enjoyed hearing his story, his journey, all things that he was doing from back home, which he'll share more about, and to kind of his journey, how he got to Sacramento and all the amazing things. So just want to give a special welcome to Vilien Gomez. What's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Happy to be here. Happy to be here. I know you asked a while ago, "Wait, when I'm gonna come on the podcast?" I'm like, "Oh, man, I hate the sound of my voice." But
Yeah,
I realized, this is it's a conversation. I
yeah,
love chatting with you. I love the work you're doing. So thank you for having this platform.
for sure, man, for sure. I know the first thing you're like, I don't know, man. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You're super dope, man. Thank you again for making some time, man. So let's start off, man. Just sharing a little bit about your background, where you're from. I know at first I was listening to that little accent, so maybe tell the folks where you come from and a little bit about your story.
Of course, of course. So I'm originally from Southern Louisiana. So down south country boy, White Castle, Louisiana. I love putting my little town on the map.
Hmm.
1,200 people. 99% are probably my cousins. But that's where it all began for me, man. Humble beginnings, single parent household. In terms of the that father figure piece, right? My grandfather, I actually called him daddy, right?
Mm.
My grandfather, as my namesake, right? I'm Villian. I'm named after my grandfather, just because he was the goat, man. He was the goat. He taught me everything. So in terms of leadership, man, I grew up under him, man. So just being able to soak in as much wisdom as I can.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's awesome, man.
yeah, it was a long road to get from there to here. To be honest with you, man, it just because growing up in an area with limited resources, there's many barriers put in place.
Yeah.
I made a joke at a work event or a work video that was shared on LinkedIn. I said, "Man, my auntie, she used to always, say that my mom and I weren't just poor, right? We couldn't even afford the last OR. We were just straight up po, right?"
Oh,
That's I laugh at that now. I'm like, "Hey, that wasn't right." But but no, man. Growing up, my mom she instilled some great fundamentals in me. So church and a library, right? She definitely
yeah.
brought it home that that these are things that are intangible, right? No matter where you are in life, no one can take that from you. So education was a big thing. She was a librarian, so I was
Mhm.
definitely at church 3 times a week, but also at the library
Yeah.
other times. You know, End up going to LSU, Louisiana State University, on a full ride. Thank God, and that's where my level of exposure, I think, really began. It was like I said, my hometown, 1,200 people, right? It was an area that really wasn't diverse, right?
Mm.
So with 1,200 people, my graduating class being 25,
Wow.
going to a large university with north of 30,000 people, it was definitely it was a change for me. It was a
Mm.
needed change. It was a mindset shift, right? Just being able to keep up. Honestly, that first semester, oh man, I did horrible in terms of my course load, but
Uh-huh.
grew me, right. And certain organizations like NSBE, National Society of Black
Mhm.
Engineers, they started to pull me. Like I remember one time at a career fair, freshman year, I walked into a career fair, like Fortune 500. I walked in there, a fitted hat, and I had a long tee.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah. You know, man, dude, he grabbed me. Like, he
Mm,
didn't even know me. Like, he just said, "Come here," like, just straight up and grabbed me,
mm,
took the hat off, made me tuck my shirt in. I said, "Man, I could just leave." He's
mhm,
like, "Nah, fam, now, you're gonna talk to these companies because you're
mm,
here, being in these type of events, right? It's all about getting the job."
yeah,
So, um, that stuck, man. That stuck to me. That's why I ended up, becoming a huge advocate and getting really engaged in student organizations.
yeah,
So a few others, and eventually getting a leadership spot in NSBE.
yeah.
But after a few years of doing things like that, getting involved with internships, entrepreneurship, I got my first job, man. I moved to Salt Lake City, Utah. Again, completely different, completely opposite of the culture in Louisiana, right? Um,
Mhm,
but it was a good time, right? Solid time, most beautiful place on earth, great mountain views. And after a year and a half there working for an investment bank on the engineering side, I studied engineering for those who didn't know. I wanted something that was customer facing because I was enjoying my role. I was doing, computer work, coding and whatnot, but I didn't get a chance to actually make an impact to the business.
mm,
So I'm like, how can I have more of an impact? I'm like, well, I need to talk to people.
mhm,
So I didn't get a chance to really engage and talk to others outside of, my partner left and right, in that cubicle. So that's how I ended up moving west, man. So I ended up in California. So became
mhm,
a consultant with IBM, and it was phenomenal. It was, man, it was great. It was a great 4 years. I worked on tons of projects. Yeah, they gave me more exposure that I was looking for, right? So in terms of running projects in different countries, the Philippines, Costa Rica,
mm,
and it's just, again, it's just blessings. I'm like, man. And the crazy part is all of these internships and jobs that I've had so far, I've never been qualified. I've
mm,
never been qualified. So it's not me in terms
yeah,
of like I made it happen. Now, man, it's
yeah,
all God that made that happen.
yeah,
Right. So like I'm preparing and I'm okay to accept no, but it's been God that's been able to, push me forward in all of these things. Because in terms of the GPA requirements, I didn't graduate with a 3.0,
mhm.
right? I've never had a 3.0, but right, I know that's I know for some it's like, oh man, you're a slacker. Like, no, I mean that was just the reality of it, right? I
Right, right,
consistently had, B's and C's. Engineering is difficult, right?
right,
Engineering is extremely difficult, but God made a way, man. But I was also willing to
mm,
get the door slapped in my face. I remember doing like multiple interviews with Boeing, Microsoft, Google, all
mm,
these companies. No's, no's, no's. I remember going to at another convention or career fair. I walked up to Ford, and the first question he asked me, "What's your GPA?" He said, "Don't even waste
mm,
your time. Go ahead."
mm.
That hurt. That hurt.
Wow.
That hurt me. But
From the jump.
from the jump, and that kept happening for years. That
Mm,
kept happening. I applied to like on campus research positions, other like Georgia Tech. I did a whole tour of Georgia Tech. Like, okay, let me do some research for the summer.
mhm.
Denied. It just kept getting denied,
Wow,
but just kept pushing, man. And doors eventually started to open, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that. So
wow.
yeah, that's how I'm here. That's how I made it to California. And over the last year, I decided to leave consulting and try something new, something small. So
Mhm,
now I'm working as a sales engineer for a tech startup based out of San Francisco. We're focused on what's called Tray.io, and we're focused on general automation. So now I'm in
mm,
a really cool space, getting a chance to talk with CEOs, COOs, CTOs like on a daily basis, and given a chance to hear their business processes and how they want to take the company in terms of scale. And
yeah,
I'm just being there to support, man. So in terms of that goal, remember that goal of me having an impact and
mhm,
actually being customer facing and helping businesses, right? That's, oh man, it's helped me a lot. So I'm hoping to use all of this, right, and being able to give back to my town. That's the end goal for me. I
yeah,
have to give back to my town. That's it. That's
yeah,
what it's all about. White
yeah.
Castle burns in my heart. But yeah, that's how I got here. I got here.
That's awesome. Shout out to White Castle, man.
Yeah, man. Got
Uh, I'm gonna bring it back to Trey and your experience there,
sure.
but I really want to hone in on what you had mentioned about not being qualified and
Yeah.
going to getting the door slapped in your face, right, and hearing all these no's. Because I think for a lot of people that listen, or for the demographics, and I think even beforehand, as we were kind of planning this, the workforce and the world in front of us is changing right before our eyes,
It
right?
is.
And how we used to think, especially as we're thinking about, going to college the traditional way, get your degree, get your job, right? And it has been changing for a while, but now I think it's just accelerated in a
Without-
major way, right? In the last 2 years with COVID, people going remote, people leaving their jobs, right? Because there's
Yeah.
opportunities, new opportunities, which I get excited about.
Yeah.
Um, and I know you are too, as I can tell, but I'm curious to kind of get your thoughts on, because you mentioned so many transitions already and kind of where
Yeah.
you are now. What are your thoughts on the current change of the workforce, and how is that maybe a good thing for those that feel stuck, or maybe they don't feel that they're qualified where they're at right now?
Yeah. I think so. Before even diving into my answer, keep shooting your shot.
Mm,
That's really what it is, right? Just literally keep shooting your shot, and do apply for things that where you may not cross every single box. Because
mm,
when HR or the hiring managers, when they're writing those hiring docs or whatever with all the requirements and must haves, they're just copying and pasting that from some internal, this is a good list, this is our
right.
ideal candidate, but in reality what they define as ideal, right,
Hmm.
it's not a reality. It's like
Hmm.
that one set of requirements might literally be three people combined.
Hmm.
That's the truth. So don't let that stop you, right? What apply to everything and anything. It's not costing you anything. It literally doesn't cost you a thing, just some time, right? And if you can get the interview, right, you're going to learn more about the company. You're going to get a chance to learn more about that industry, so it can help you. So let's say, worst case, temporarily they say not right now. You're not a good fit, right?
Hmm.
But you had a chance to make and build a relationship with that company and with someone in that HR team. That's valuable. Stay in
Hmm.
contact with them, right? Stay in contact with them on LinkedIn. Maybe hit
Hmm.
them up in a few weeks or a few months and ask for feedback, right? So, okay, I know I wasn't considered for this role, wasn't an ideal fit, but what does that mean? What can make me more competitive?
Hmm.
And now you're right, things have definitely changed a bit for the better. I have friends who do sit within HR at Fortune 500 companies, and they were excited for this change because they were already having a hard time filling certain roles. So
Hmm.
now they're looking, California companies are looking in areas in the South, in Houston, in Louisiana.
Hmm.
Sadly, right? States like Louisiana or Mississippi, Alabama were always passed over,
Right.
always passed over. So now that tech, those tech roles, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's let's say entry level tech sales roles, sales development rep, or maybe a customer success rep. Those type of roles are now easily proliferating throughout the South, and now we're starting to see. Oh man, we're starting to see a huge shift now. A huge
That's
shift,
true.
like letting people know that there's options. There's options out there. Now, how do you get it? Because there's sadly, right? There's areas in the U.S. or the world where they may not know about these jobs.
Hmm.
May not know that remote work is even a thing.
Right.
And I think we can all chunk all that up to this whole digital divide. There's a huge digital divide,
Hmm.
right? Some of us grew up with Chromebooks, MacBooks, right? And in reality, folks like me, we didn't.
Right.
We didn't, right? You know, um, my access to a computer was definitely at the library,
Hmm.
which is good, right? That's why I'm a huge advocate of the library. I'm a huge advocate of getting our taxpayers' dollars worth. So utilizing every resource that our library has to offer is key. But if someone doesn't have access to the internet or a computer in their home, how would they even know about certain tools or available
Hmm.
resources online to even hone that skill set? because it is a
Right.
skill set. Let's be honest, right? Yeah,
It's
sure,
true.
we're skilled now, and it's second hand nature to know things like Command C, right?
Right.
Shortcuts on the keyboard. But there was a time we didn't know what a shortcut was. We didn't know how to write a formula in Excel. Like that's the reality. Now Excel, like, what do you mean you don't know Excel? Like that's just it's table stakes. It's sad that it is. I know
Yeah.
people. I do a lot of resume reviews, and folks like, should I put this on my resume? I'm like, I mean, dang, this isn't early 2000s anymore. If you
Mm.
need to, I
Right.
can. But I'm
Yeah.
I'm encouraging my friends these days to learn if they can, right? If they have the technical acumen, to learn Tableau, right? I'm not even
Mm.
starting with heavy coding. I'm not starting with Python. I'm not starting with SQL because everybody's not going to vibe with that. But if you can at least learn how to visualize data
Mhm.
that was given to you, that's going to put you up there. That's going to give you lots of opportunities.
Can you
So
share a little bit about what is for people maybe like me that don't know what Tableau is? Can you share maybe a little bit of what
for
that is?
sure, man. So Tableau is a business intelligence tool, or should I just say a data visualization tool. That's all it is, right? So in Excel, you had all your data in rows there, and you'll select the data that you want to convert into a chart or
Mm.
pie, pie chart, bar graph, or whatever. And Tableau, oh man, it's like Excel on steroids from a charting perspective, right? So that's just one example, man. And there's
Yeah.
free trainings out there. There's lots of things you can do on YouTube that people can just watch some videos on, kind of
Mhm.
get some knowledge on it. And
Yeah.
there's roles out there that, like customer success, that they can get and just really get the bag without a college degree. That's the reality
Mm.
of it now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that you're right. The digital divide, but the opportunity for the access that we have now compared to again maybe for those
There.
that can date us back to the fitted hats and the long tees. We didn't have it like that. With
Yeah.
with the iPhones and everything, but we're in a place now where we have so much access, and a lot of the times they are free. There are some things that will cost,
Mm.
but I
Yeah.
think that's the next level of investment that people are willing to take for themselves, for their careers and personal lives.
And dude,
Um,
you bring up a good point when you say investment, right? I'm a big investment
oh
guy.
yeah, uh-huh.
But oh my goodness, you think about how much a degree costs. Let's be real.
Yep. Well,
So,
let's talk about it. Let's go.
oh my boy. So a
Uh-huh.
degree can cost anywhere from undergraduate can cost anywhere from 30,000 to
Hmm.
100,000. Depends
Hmm.
on if it's public or private and all that good stuff. So to pay, let's say, I don't know, use a meter, you pay 80,000, 60 to 70, 80,000 for a 4-year degree, and you come out of school and you're making 40 or 50,000 in some areas. I know California can be a little bit different,
Right.
but across the US, man, 40 or 50,000, that's what the starting pay is. Or in some areas like
It's true.
Louisiana, 50,000 is, that's like that could be top pay for
Hmm.
certain folks. So it's like, man, the investment, doesn't really match up there, sadly. So, but if you can pay, well, certainly, let's say zero, free, YouTube,
Hmm.
Google University, and learn, or actually go through let's say a technical boot camp
Hmm.
or a sales boot camp. There's so many boot camps out there that
Yeah.
start as low as, I don't know, $100. There's so many courses on Udemy that go as low as $20,
Hmm.
where someone who is considered an expert in the industry, and there's many gurus out there, but
Right. Right.
someone who has more knowledge than you do, right? So
Yeah.
sure, anyone who
Yeah.
has more knowledge than me, yep, you're an expert. Till I get that knowledge, and all right, anyway, we both experts. But
Hmm.
um, it's a lot out there that you can do, man, to make a better investment. To be honest, yeah, I'm gonna stop there.
No, I
Yeah,
want to keep maybe just on on the topic of investment because I know the last time that we sat down, I think maybe that had been the first or second time that we actually met in
yeah,
person, which was a great conversation. That you had talked about these entrepreneurial kind of endeavors and things
yeah,
that you were kind of forecasting for yourself and some of the mentors, right? they were talking about buying businesses. They
Yeah,
not just like,
yeah,
a house
yeah,
or
yeah,
businesses. And that was like a whole different level of exposure for me,
yeah,
to kind of hear that. So I'm curious to hear more about, what does it mean for, I know we can talk, of course, financial investment. We've already talked
yeah,
about kind of the
yeah.
education piece, but why is investing, at least to you, why is that so important? And yeah,
Oh man. No, it's important, and I think we can start this conversation talking about generational wealth.
there we
Um,
go.
Man, generational wealth it's important because assets that one acquires in literally one lifetime can make 10 times that much of an impact to the next generation. Right? Who
Mm,
wants to start at zero? Nobody. Some folks are starting at negative 10.
mm,
Some people are like literally, having to like, no offense, I understand it happens, but there's many folks who are having to bear the weight of their own family. Like even with a college degree,
it's
right?
true.
Family, depends on them, and I get it, it happens, but that's not a good example of generational wealth where you
Mm,
graduated, but you have all this responsibility from your parents now. You have to pay, tons of bills and whatnot. If you have to do it, I understand it, but I think in improving or providing a healthy generational wealth scenario, what it will look like is life insurance,
hmm.
right? Um, I don't know, man. It's yeah, like I'm just gonna say life insurance, right? I'm not gonna go too deep into that just because it's something that's important. We've all been in a situation where we've had to contribute to someone's funeral costs.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that way. And what's interesting also there though is that's not the whole purpose of life insurance. The
Mm,
purpose of life insurance is to ensure that not just funeral costs are paid, but it's to make sure that all of those other burdens,
hmm.
financial burdens that were in that house or family, that they're taken care of, right?
Right.
So let's say a husband and wife that they have kids. Um, let's say the wife is the breadwinner. She's making the money for the family, and something happens.
Hmm.
So if her income is now replaced overnight, what happens? Right? They could become, homeless, sadly, right?
Yeah.
So that's where life insurance comes into play. That's why having a policy that's large enough to immediately pay off the mortgage, house pay,
Mm,
immediately pay for the, I don't know, maybe those two kids' college funds, right? So those type of things that you are already working towards can immediately be taken care of in the event of a death.
yeah.
So that's that. Now, past life insurance, past if you have a job with 401ks and preparing for retirement, cool. But what about everything before that? What about life before 65? What are your options? You brought
Right.
up, yep, stocks, bonds, that's all good. But then there's entrepreneurship. And this is where
Hmm.
equity comes into play, right?
Mm,
Equity being able to own something. Now, there's multiple ways to achieve equity. You can work, in some of these tech companies, and you can work for your equity. You can get option grants if it's a startup, right? Where usually 4 years. If you stay there for 4 years, you get X amount of shares in the company. So you have some upside there if the company files for IPO in the future, right? But you're working for it. In
hmm.
addition to that, let's say in a publicly traded company like I don't know, Google or something like that, or Facebook, you're going to get RSU. So this is just a different form of stock now in the company. So,
Hmm.
it incentivize you to just hold it, right? Stay there as long as you can, keep getting those shares because the company is continually to grow, and you can contribute, you can get your wealth that way.
Mm,
Now, other forms of equity, which isn't really talked about, is small business, right? Small business are just lower middle market businesses, right? So these are your mom and pop shops. These are your franchise owners, right?
hmm.
These folks, they're not really talked about. It's not really sexy, but they're making way more money, right? And have way more equity in that than folks with 4-year degrees from Harvard, right?
Hmm.
Folks who went to Berkeley, right? It's the truth, man. So landscaping companies, they might do a few million a year, no lie.
Mm,
a few million a year because they are, their clients are HOA, HOAs, right? Or maybe it's
Mhm.
shopping centers. So mom and pop businesses, maybe a few owners, couple staff members making 1 to 2 million a year, and they
Mhm.
have 100% equity in that. So a couple years down the line, if they say, "Hey, I'm done with this, and I really don't want to do this anymore," they sell the business. They sell that
Mhm.
equity. You don't just sell that business, right, for what you're making. You sell it at a multiple, right? Because
Mm.
it's an investment, right? You sell it at a multiple, and so who's ever buying it, they may buy it for 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, whatever it is in the market. And that's where this windfall of cash comes in, and that's the type of things we don't talk about, is
Mhm.
being able to get into business to build this equity.
Mm.
Now, in our last conversation, we talked about buying a business, right? So that
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
landscaping, you can start from scratch. You can start day one. All right, I'm going to get one lawnmower. I'm going to get some yards, and eventually, I'm going to get corporate accounts. I'm going to
Mm.
build a business. Cool, you can do that. That's fine. But building a business from scratch, oh man, there's so many headaches involved. Oh, you got to go through the right staff. You got to,
Yeah,
somebody steal money. So much is going to happen, right?
yeah.
But if you can literally buy an existing business, something that's been around for years, something that already has customers, right? Something that already has systems in place. So you
Mhm.
literally just become the CEO or president overnight. And your goal now, one, keep the lights on. Keep the lights, don't mess it up. Don't change
Yeah.
anything drastic. But from there, find ways to increase value in that business. This whole area is called ETA,
Mhm.
entrepreneurship through acquisition. Not everybody's going to come up with the next Facebook.
Mhm.
That's the reality, right? And everybody wants
Right.
to be a tech entrepreneur. Not everybody's going to start something from scratch or want
Mhm.
to deal with the headaches and money of being wasted in doing it. So buying something that's successful already, you're still an entrepreneur, right? Because you're
Mhm.
still bringing your vision. Maybe your vision is taking something that's making, I don't know, 100,000. Maybe it's a hair salon, and maybe you
Mhm.
found a way to franchise that hair salon just because you found, that what's it was it was it shortcuts? What's the name of that? That
Oh,
that
the haircut place?
yeah,
Supercuts?
like supercuts. You're like, okay, I don't like supercuts. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
give my salon like
Uh-huh.
something funky, something that's more relatable to the urban youth,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna franchise that. So there's huge upside and opportunity for those interested in ETA, but
Mhm.
it's something that's not really talked about.
Yeah.
And I can dive deep. It's something that's not talked about at all in black and brown communities at
Yeah.
all. We all want to
Yeah.
start something on our own. We all want to, yeah,
It's true. It's true.
yeah,
And you
never,
kind of you answered a lot of one of the questions I was going to ask,
yeah,
which I'm curious to if you have more on it. But really, it's this take on does everyone have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, or should they be encouraged to be entrepreneurial in some way?
yeah,
And I ask that again because it goes back to not only even before the whole getting into the pandemic. There was definitely a lot of these gurus that we've referenced, right? A lot of people, starting their academies and little online schools, but
yeah,
it just kind of exploded even more, right? In the last couple of years, but and it has done some good for a lot of folks that are, really driven to like, all right, I see a side hustle opportunity. I see ways to maybe
yeah,
increase my income outside of my 9 to 5 or my part-time job. So kind of bring it back to the question. Do you think everybody kind of has what it takes to be entrepreneur? How do you define it? How do you see it in your
yeah,
life, and how does it play out?
yeah, man. I think for me, entrepreneur is someone who sees a problem in the market, and brings a solution to that problem, right? The solution being a service or product, and they're able to, not going to say monetize it, but they're able to operationalize it,
Mm,
meaning they bring it to life. I saw a problem. I think I have a solution. I'm going to put some pieces together or work with folks to put these pieces together. And we're going to make it happen, right? We're going to grow it. We're going to have actual customers that
mhm,
are benefiting from this product or service. Your question was that can anybody be an entrepreneur?
mhm,
In their own way, right? even if it's a side hustle, that's still entrepreneurial, right? I can't knock side hustles. That's where I started in the side hustles, in side hustle space. I've done, Lord knows, most side hustles out there, especially in high school. Like, the whole selling candy type of
Uh-huh.
thing. Selling science fair projects. We won't talk about that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
And
That's
shout out to tailgate helpers.
Oh, tailgate helpers, man. 5 years it ran. But and that was a good example of like seeing a need in the market. I
Mhm.
was, I led tailgating for my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity incorporated, and it was a pain. Every
Mm,
Saturday morning, getting up at like 5 in the morning to secure a spot and get all that together, the planning, making sure everybody has a good time and cleaning
mhm.
up. But the second I realized that was a pain in the market, oh,
Yeah.
it's an opportunity in the market. So if I hate setting it up,
Right.
everybody, 200,000 plus people who attend a LSU
Wow.
tailgate hate setting it up. So that's where the opportunity came for me. And I think everybody has that moment. I think
Mhm.
everybody has some type of business idea or pain that you see in your day to day. It's just, some people won't jump on it,
Yeah.
right? Some people will just talk about it for years and
Man,
maybe try it. And
it's
and
true.
I understand, right? Because there are some ventures take a lot of resources. They take a lot
Mhm.
of risk. Some may actually require you to leave your day job
Mhm.
and spend a few years working on it full time.
Yeah.
And I think that's where your entrepreneurialism ism
Yeah.
uh, and your passion for that venture,
Yeah.
it has to meet. It has to meet it because the passion.
100%.
You're never going to go that extra mile to actually make that happen. But no, side hustles there for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody
No,
has a side hustle, man.
yeah, I agree, and I agree with that sentiment of like, kind of waiting and talking about it. That was part of my journey for this
Yeah,
podcast. I think just always having this itch, and being a podcast listener, and didn't think it was that I could do it, but
yeah,
as I was encouraged and got around people to say, hey, you got to just do the first one, and
yeah.
each one, I was able to make it better. I saw things differently of how I want to change it into a different direction and now have it as a platform to educate people, right? And it's been amazing, right? So I'm
That's it.
glad looking back, right? And that kind of leads me to the next question. As you talked about your experiences from the tailgate helpers or selling science fair projects, as it sounds like. What in those experiences, and even from your professional experiences leaving school,
Yeah.
what is something you wish someone had told you when it comes to leadership?
Man. Oh my goodness, man. I think first of all, right, I think we have to define what is leadership. Right? What is
Right.
leadership to me? For me, leadership is truly the ability to just set a great example, right, while embarking on change and
Mm,
working towards that common goal. And I think there's been many times, like even with tailgate helpers, I was managing my staff, but I wasn't leading my staff,
mm.
setting a good example. And I wish someone, that same guy from Nesby who,
Yeah.
who grabbed me,
Yeah.
just grabbed me in that career fair. I really wish he was there in,
Mm.
in those years, man.
It's a great
Because
example. Yeah.
I have one picture in my phone, right? So I ran it for 5 years, and for the last 2 years, I was out of state. I was living in Utah, and I flew back in town for one game to watch it. I had managers there, but I wanted to watch the guys, see how they were doing, and I ended up sitting in a tailgate chair. And the picture I took, I don't know, it was like me, like, beautiful day here. The team is doing well. Man, I look back after that years, what was wrong with me? What kind of example was I setting? My team, they're out there busting their butt. Like,
Yeah.
like it's physical labor. They're busting their
Yeah.
butt. And I'm not out there being the first one.
Mm.
I'm not out there showing other guys how to properly set up a tent. I'm not out there wiping the dust off the chairs. I'm out there looking pretty. What? Nah, leadership isn't pretty. Leadership shouldn't.
Mm. Facts.
That's what it is, man. Leadership
Yeah.
shouldn't be pretty. Like,
Yeah.
so I think about that all the time, and it makes me sick, man. Like being a leader isn't just being on a high throne and oh, this is my thing that I built. This is my bit. No, no, man. It's being there on the front line,
Mm,
right? Leaders eat last. That's the truth, right? But actually, like expressing that, showing that to the team,
yeah,
right? Because that's what it's about for me, man. It's not just about dictating, hey, get something done, and that's for any effort you're doing, not just a business. It could be
yeah,
team at work, it could be some sports team, but showing people, hey, we're going to get better, but I'm gonna show you
hmm
how we can get better. Think of Kobe, man. He practiced before the practice.
right,
Mamba mentality, man. It's
yeah,
man, and it's he showed people right that what leadership is, and that's what
yeah,
it is, setting an example. So
yeah,
that's man.
man, great. I love that. R.I.P. Kobe, man. Shout out to Kobe. Um, I got this next two-part question here
Let's go.
before we get to my favorite segment, the
Okay.
lightning round.
Woo.
But the the question or the first question that I have is, now in your new role with
Yeah.
Trey IO, right?
Yep.
Um, and all the outside of your 9 to 5, like what are you doing to still kind of level up in terms of your own kind of entrepreneurial endeavors, interests, things like that? Like, are you reading
Yeah.
books? What are you listening to? Who you connect? What are ways that you're keeping yourself, growing
Yeah.
and developing in this season? So that's part one. And then I
Okay.
guess the part two is, what is next for you? What are those kind of things that you see yourself in the next few years doing?
Man. Oh. Okay. So what am I doing outside of work? I honestly spent a lot of time talking with friends or friends back home, friends here, and just kind of tuning into what they're doing. So I don't think I'm really doing anything entrepreneurial. Sure, I invest, right, real estate and whatnot, but I've been getting a I don't know, just a sense of joy and fulfillment out of helping my friends grow their businesses.
Nice.
So if there's any friends within my immediate network that's starting something or doing something, I spend a good bit of time consulting them, or just
Nice.
because I have the knowledge, and it's just a blessing to be able to give back. So
Mhm.
again, right, that's just what leadership is, right? Setting that example, just like, hey, you need it here. Like, let me be a servant. Let me
Yep.
be, you know. So that's what I'm doing a good bit of these days, man. Helping friends who started a venture or looking to scale a venture.
That's awesome.
Always open to a phone call if I can. Always looking to get involved with let's say high school mentorship or even
Mhm.
undergraduate mentorship, and get involved
Mhm.
with those with career days or whatnot.
Yeah.
And that fulfills me, man. That truly
Yeah.
fulfills me. But in terms of like books, oh goodness, I do read a bit. I do read a bit. I'm looking behind me here.
Yeah, I see a library in the background.
Yeah, man, it's pretty crazy. So one of the books I want to highlight is actually a Jim Clifton book from the Gallup. I'm sure you've heard of a Gallup
Mhm.
study, whatnot, right? So
Yep.
it's Born to Build.
Mm.
This was a solid book. So we worked through this book in a community leadership um, session. So similar to the program that you were in with your
Mhm.
cohort, I
Mhm.
was in something like that a few years ago when I lived in the Bay in Concord, California. Concord.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, right. So in Concord, California, there was it Chambers of Commerce put on
Mhm.
a program, right, for lead up and coming leaders. And this is the material that we worked from, and they had a
Nice.
trainer from Gallup as well. And man, this book was phenomenal because it really made you think about uh, looking at problems in your area, right? Looking at problems in your local community and then being able to solve them, right, with innovative solutions. Now that can be through a nonprofit, it can be a
Mhm.
for-profit, right? But coming up with those solutions, and man, it was phenomenal. shout out to the Concord
Right.
Chambers of Commerce, man, for at least giving us the opportunity to do that. So this book is great. It's not just a book where you read. There's
Hmm.
literally there's portions throughout the book to where you're gonna have to perform exercises.
Dope.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's the best books, man. Forget the ones we just read through. No, man.
Right. You got
Hey,
to
books where you
interact
just
with the material, man.
hey, okay, yeah, you just reflect on it.
No, I think in reflection to that point, just like I mean, it's so important. I feel like even more recently because at times we can just go go go. There is no time for pausing and thinking and reflecting on good, bad, and things that really need to kind of just be in the moment.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, definitely appreciate that share. But I want to move forward, man, to my favorite segment to kind of cap off this show. But I got to ask you the first question: Are you ready for the lightning round?
Let's go.
Okay, don't worry, I made it fun. These are
Let's do
random
it.
questions that I did not share with you beforehand. So first
Let's
thing that
do
comes to
it.
mind. All right, first one for you.
All right,
The best team in the SEC.
come on, man. Louisiana State
Okay,
University.
I just had to make sure. I had to. Okay, cool. We got
Yeah.
that out the way. All right. Next one. Artist or song that is currently on repeat.
Oh man, what artist or songs currently on repeat? Oh goodness, I'm going to say just because I was listening to them yesterday, the Fugees.
Fuji's.
Just
Okay,
because I was
that's,
listening to yeah yesterday. It's kind of
that's good.
running. Was it the Score album? But yeah,
Uh huh. There you
yeah.
go. Okay. Next one. Something that most people wouldn't know about you.
Man, let's see something that most people wouldn't know about me. I I had so when I did have hair, I had huge aspirations
Mhm.
of getting a Jerry curl. I'm not kidding. So
Okay.
I had my grandfather, and I hung out with lots of older, like really older
Uh-huh.
folks growing up.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
thought that was just the coolest thing in the world. So I always wanted a Jerry curl. Most people do not know that.
Okay.
Now they do.
Next one. If you had a superpower, it would be.
Man, just because I love to travel, I would love teleportation.
That's a good one. Next one. Most used emoji icon.
Oh, lurk eyes. Lurk
Oh, the
eyes.
lurk eyes. Got you. That's a good one. Yeah, that's definitely top five for me. Um, Random. What's your favorite carb? Bread, rice, pasta, or potatoes?
Man, pasta all day.
That's a good
Pasta
one. Yeah,
all
you can't. Yeah. What am I talking about? This is the South. Okay.
pasta.
Speaking of the South, perfect follow up question. What's the one restaurant in Baton Rouge a visiting fan must visit?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna say Chimes. Chimes
Chimes.
Bar and Grill. It's walking distance away from campus. So if you only you can stay near campus, go to Chimes. Great pasta, good brunch, and all of that. But if you have a car and you're okay with going to other sides of town,
Mm.
you make sure you find yourself in Tony's Seafood so you can grab yourself some boudin
Mm.
links, right? Some boiled crawfish, boiled shrimp.
Woo.
Oh man, and the catfish Tony, which is two pieces
Wow.
of fried catfish
Hmm.
with a nice huge scoop of etouffee.
Wow.
So just putting it out there.
You just got all my foodies excited, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, last couple questions here. Worst nickname given to you?
Man. So first of all, my name is Villian, so that just
Right.
kind of opens it up. I love my name, but at one point I didn't. Just because, so yeah, worst name I would say Villinger.
Wow. And I thought I did it back because I know I butchered it the first time I met you. You had to
Man,
correct me,
kids are
but it's all good. I got it back.
yeah.
All right. I know you're a traveler, so place you most want to travel to.
Where I most want to.
Correct.
Oh man, my wife and I, shout out to my beautiful wife, almost 1 year married.
Hey.
We really want to go to Portugal.
Nice.
Lisbon, Portugal. So that's
Lisbon. Beautiful. All right, last two here. First one, biggest lesson you learned so far in 2022?
2022. Oh man. Okay, I got you. It's okay to pay for things to save time.
Love that. All right, last but not least, to close us out, every leader needs what?
Guidance.
There you go. Guidance. You heard it here from Vilien Gomez. Thank you so much again, bro. I really appreciate your time and the value that you gave for today's podcast. Um, Continue to check us out. Next podcast, got some more exciting guests. If you want to support, there's a link in the episode where you can do that to support me and the rest of the podcast and all the content. Vilien, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next Lead Up podcast.
All right,
Peace.
y'all. Y'all take it easy. Take care.